Great job.
Surprisingly, like people
47-31.
were talking to me about that ending too this past week.
It's a great ending. Everyone's.
It was funny.
If it wasn't so,
they want to know the genesis of that.
If it wasn't so unfriendly for a T-shirt, I'd say we should put it on a shirt.
I think it's T-shirt friendly.
I wear my T-shirts, my CBP shirts all over the place.
You don't wear it to work.
I do wear it to work. I do,
but not don't be a cuck. You don't.
I can't wear don't be a cuck anywhere. I have to wear it.
Yeah, you can. You can wear it you can wear it everywhere else. To a formal setting. Okay. I can't see why not. Anyways, Bank of Japan.
Yeah.
They came out this past week.
They've been busy, huh?
They've been moving markets. Fucking incredible. They said they don't plan to raise rates anytime in the near future. And this is a response to what happened 1 week ago today, Joey. In fact, that the markets were just going nuts. They decided to raise rates slightly. It almost caused a global economic meltdown as a result.
Just about.
From a slight increase of rates, the deputy governor of the bank did say they're going to relook at things once the markets have stabilized. So, I'm reading between the lines. I'm thinking somewhere between the years of 2285 and 2295 is when the markets will stabilize and look to be raising rates. So this thing is going to be staying like this for a long fucking time. Officially, the inflation rate in Japan for the last 2 months was reported at 2.8%.
Yeah.
That's for May and June. And the bank's goal is to get to 2%, and now without changing rates. So there's going to be a lot of fudging of numbers to get to that point. But
once laundry is done, just jamming out to that.
It's done, yeah, man. So, the Bank of Japan and their rates staying where it is, it's total fucking bullshit what's happening here. The bank's job is, I checked their website, single mandate to ensure sustainable price stability. That's the only thing that the Bank of Japan's there to do. That's in their mandate. Now, it's now slowly morphed into not crashing global markets. That's
secondary mandate. Keep this whole thing from burning down.
It's like this thing forked, and there was no consensus. They just fucking did it, and we're fucking now bought into this new coin. But either way, man, it's fucking bullshit. Like the amount of pressure that's going on here, and it's almost like external pressure that just being done to maintain a currency. Like it's a fucking joke. Good for them what they're trying to achieve, but they're not going to be able to sustain this for much longer. I always said that this is the canary in a coal mine. We almost had it last week, but it's going to happen soon, I think.
Fiat games, right? What else can you say about this? You are watching in real time a central bank having to put its tail between its legs and say, sorry, we raised. You can guarantee that we're not going to raise again the rest of the year. Just to kind of stabilize things, not even really stabilize them. I don't know if you saw today, gold and oil up 2% and 4%, I think, respectively. Like, there's a lot of signs that things are not quite as stable as everyone says. And I think the thing to take away from this, if you're a Bitcoiner, a year or 2 years ago, any of this stuff would have sent Bitcoin down by 50 or 60%, no questions asked. And you would have expected it. We would have come on the air and laughed about it, blah, blah, blah. This time, what did you get? I'm pretty sure the name of the candle is a doji something or a star. Like this thing that has like a huge long wick, but it gets bought right back up basically to the price it was at on a weekly candle. That's where we ended up. You can't beat that. That's pretty solid, man. Like you got to like the way that we handled that price action and the way that we handled that instability. To me, Len, great, happy, no problem. Japan can do whatever it wants. If it wants to burn this thing down, let it burn it down. If it wants to stabilize it, let them stabilize it. I don't care. What I care about is the way that my Bitcoin reacted. Fantastic. This is why we don't, dabble in fiat markets. I mean, I just admitted to dollar cost averaging MSTR, but I have a tax efficient account. We got to use those things. We can't let
do you?
Boys. Yeah, we
can't. There's gonna be a time you're gonna be locked out of that.
I know, probably. I know.
Retail always comes on the short end of the stick, right? And you think that you're gonna be made whole, man? No. When shit...
I'll sell. I would guess sometime in the next year or two, honestly. But anyway, it doesn't matter. The point is that in general, central banks are trying so hard to control an increasingly volatile situation with old levers that no longer work from an era where there was no messaging, no communication, no Twitter, stuff like that. It's done now. Everyone is talking all the time, 24/7. Huge $1 trillion assets are trading 24/7. Gold, oil, Bitcoin, bonds, you name it, all trading 24/7. Everyone can see what the reaction is. There is no hiding anymore. And these guys are still playing an old game, and it really showed last week. But I think it's going to show again when they try and raise, presumably in 25, right? So let's see.
23, 35. So like it's going to be like a long time.
They say they're not going to raise the rest of this year. So that, that potentially means next year, the year. I mean, I know, but still.
They say when the market stabilizes. Now they see what happens when they raise rates. They have data, recent data, as for what's going to be the reaction, and they're not going to want to go ahead and be the trigger point as for causing the global meltdown to happen. They'll probably have somebody else be the scapegoat, but not them. But really, like you say, they painted themselves into a corner, right? Like every time they want it, some things just have to happen on their own.
Yeah.
If there's a shitty job report, for instance, or several shitty job reports, and the economy's tanking after a couple of quarters, and you go into a recession, as per the traditional.
No, we don't do that. Like, look at the Canadian job report from last week. Net loss of 1,000 jobs. Well, we lost 42,000 private sector jobs and gained 41,000 public sector. I'm sure that's just a coincidence. Those numbers just,
yeah,
it's just it's unbelievable that anyone buys the data dumps at this point.
Well, speaking of it's a good segue, because the jobs report in Canada, it's like you mentioned, it's not looking great, because in terms of the private sector jobs being lost and the public sector jobs being created, it's even Steven, just about.
Yeah.
That's 1,000 difference in the end. Better Dwelling, it's a great website. I would recommend everybody check it out. They did some analysis of this. The year-over-year growth of the private sector jobs came in flat at 0.6%.
Yeah.
Now, if you take into consideration the rate of growth of the population, this is troubling. Furthermore, they mentioned that 1 in 4 people are now relying on the public sector. This is either people that are directly or indirectly working for the government. Yeah. 1 in 4 people.
Yeah.
And the year-over-year for those type of jobs, the growth of that stands at 4.8%. That far outpaces the 0.6% of the private sector. Also of note, there is a noticeable decline for self-employed individuals. Over the year, the number of self-employed individuals did increase by 2.1%, but the number is trending downward if you look at it over a longer period of time. Since 2020, the public sector, this is a good one, Joey. Since 2020, the public sector added 4 jobs for every self-employed person job lost. That's an interesting stat.
Sure is. Yeah.
But then we also have youth unemployment too on top of all this. Youth unemployment has jumped substantially. If you look at the chart for the past 3 years, you'll see it has jumped since the beginning of this year, January 2024, started at 11%, which is high. But now, as of July 2024, which is the latest data we have, it's 14.2%. So and if you look at that chart, it's up and to the right, and it is sharp up to the right.
We talked about that last week. It's the highest it's basically ever been.
And it's not going to get any better, because now we're at the end of summer. So student jobs likely will cease for some
golf
sectors.
Courses, lifeguards. Yeah.
CNE.
Yeah.
So, right, like
funnel cake distribution. Yeah, that's gonna be over.
It's just, when you look at this and you digest everything, and it seems like everything is not looking all that great. The population's jumping, and we'll talk about that in the next story. But with respect to the jobs report, man, there's lots that can be said and nothing good, unfortunately.
I really feel good about this set of data and the stats and the number of people now talking about the percentage of Canadians that work for the public sector, because you and me have been on this beat for 2 years. And we said 2 years ago, when the number was a little closer to 20%, that if you actually look at all the people who are either working for the public sector, receiving funds from the public sector for their day-to-day life, or retired and receiving a pension on the public dime, that number was actually closer to 50%. That number now has got to be what? 60?
Well, 60. Higher than 50.
It's for sure higher than 50, and it's for sure higher than just the 5% jump in the public sector work, because more people have retired and we've brought in a lot of dependents through the immigration program. So that number is very high. And then when you talk about too, when you think about GDP, this is the thing I don't think people realize. GDP is not going negative here because we keep on bringing in immigrants. But the problem, actually, like Kev said, is that we are just spending too much money on all these things. And it's not productive spend. It's not infrastructure spend. It's not school spend. It's not, hospital spend. It's just like administrative spend. And yeah, I'm not saying every administrator is, necessarily a zero value job. I think there's a lot of good administrators and a lot of good public servants at all levels of government, municipal, federal, provincial, you name it. But it can't get to 20% or 25%. It's just too high, because at 25% of people who are employed working for the government and 20% of the entire population collecting a pension of some kind, you run into a problem with productivity and being able to take money from productive people to pay for non-productive Canadians. These are harsh terms, but in an economic sense, this is, pretty cut and dry. The bigger problem though, Len, is that if we cut those jobs, we lose tons of GDP, and we can't lose that GDP. And if we, consider even stuff like baby bonuses, for example, how many people are receiving baby bonuses? That's a whole other kind of percentage of GDP that we don't talk about, right? But I'm pretty sure you get a baby bonus until your kid is 18. You would know. Are you getting a baby bonus? You have a daughter.
Yeah, but she's not 18.
No, but up until she's 18, you get something.
But you know what? The thing is, I can't be like, I think there's, if you earn too much, if
you still get something, don't you?
Do you? I can't remember.
I'm pretty sure you do. I'm pretty sure there's no zero baby bonus. And so let's say, even if you earn too much, there's a lot of people who don't, and they get baby bonuses. Like, all these things add up when it comes to GDP. And so the question is not now is not, well, how many Canadians work for the government? No. The question we have to transition to is what percentage of GDP is actually just fake money, fake productivity, transfer payments, baby bonuses, pension savings fund or pension funds, all this stuff. We gotta know what that number is. Len, I bet you that number. Are you ready for this?
Go ahead.
I bet you that number is 70%. Then if you add real estate, I bet you that number jumps to 80%. And if 80% of your economy is either people getting paid by the government, people working for the government, or people selling houses to each other, that's not good. That's really not good. And I want Better Dwelling to find that out. I don't have the bandwidth to figure that out. Although probably if I spent a day doing it, I could figure something out. But like that number's got to be super high. That's the one we should be concerned about, because GDP per capita is one boogeyman that's starting to come out of the closet a little bit. But that other one, how much GDP is actually just like pretend productivity, that's going to knock people's socks off. When that starts to come out, there's not going to be too many tweets about how strong the economy is, I don't think. Pretty sure those will stop rather quickly.
So, interesting stat I got about population, Joey. In the last 3 years, Ontario's population grew by a total of 1.2 million people.
Insane. And they're all in Toronto, Brampton, Oakville, Mississauga.
Yeah, a good chunk will go to the Greater Toronto
100, 200 kilometer radius, something like that. Not a very big area.
And in the first 6 months of 2024, Ontario's population grew by 200,000 people. So if you prorate this, there is not a noticeable change. It's 1.2 million over 3 years period of time. So, so it's not looking all that good in terms of lowering the number of people coming to Canada, but it seems like that's the intention by the government. And so if they are going to be changing this, it hasn't yet happened. It hasn't transpired in the first 6 months of this year, at least within Ontario. Mm-hmm. And as per a Toronto Star article, Ontario experienced a decade's worth of population growth in just 3 years. And it says in the article that we can't support that growth without building more homes. Even the Toronto Star is getting on this bandwagon as well, because they mentioned that 1-bedroom apartments are now renting for over $2,000 in the GTA. Man, it's a lot of people, like 1.2 million. I don't know what the percentage of that is going to Conestoga, but it may be measurable. Either way, they're here, and we have to deal with that many more people driving cars, using services like health, school, and shit like that.
It's damaging. It's damaging.
I
was saying to my wife the other day that it doesn't seem like there's a lot more traffic here than there was a few years ago. But when we go to the cottage now, you used to just get traffic at the 400 Barrie, that sort of interchange there. Now there's traffic just as soon as you get on the 403. there's just way too many people. And how many extra highways were built during that immigration boom? You know, how many?
I wouldn't have a clue.
The answer is zero, materially zero. Well, come on.
So
the big ones, 403 has not been expanded lane wise. QEW has not been expanded lane wise.
407 we had in the past.
407's been there forever. It's private.
It was the 90s. It came to it. There was
but in the last 2 years, I'm saying. In the last 2 years, I'm saying.
No, but there's. I mean, you're right in that respect. But I just wanted to state we had the 407, and they expanded that quite a bit in the past few years.
It goes
that one going north and south from the 407 to the 401. That is a pay. I forget the name of that highway or number of that highway, but that is recent. That is the past 10 years that came into be. So it's not like building a highway takes forever, right? Like you have to buy the land.
The point is that there's no planning. Like building a highway takes forever. That's right. Building a hospital takes forever. Building 50, 60, 70, 150, 300 schools for 1 million more people takes forever. We didn't do any of it. We just brought the people in and said, good luck. And now you have these, videos by this time that everybody has seen of 20 beds in a basement in Brampton, all these different problems with overcrowding with immigrant rentals. And, sort of, I think, chief among them, honestly, Len, we haven't even seen yet when hospitals become overcrowded as boomers really age into their delicate years. God bless them. I hope they don't come soon, but how do you fix that now is the question I think you have to ask. How do you fix it?
I don't know. What is the answer to this? Is they're here.
Yeah.
People are here.
Yeah.
And if this was done over a slow enough period of time that the society services and everything could have absorbed, just like the way it was done in a previous bunch of years.
Yeah.
I think it would have been fine. But just because everything was accelerated, I don't know. Like you
now forget it.
Problem.
Yeah. Now forget it.
Which is too bad. And it kind of reminds me of when you're dealing with municipalities. We'll be quick on this because I know we're now getting close to.
I have some tentacles out there to see when they actually start talking. Apparently, they're having some technical difficulties. Elon came.
It's working for me. The Twitter is at least from. Anyways,
pop on the audio. Pop on the autos. Are they talking?
No. I mean, somebody was saying that Twitter's down for some folks.
I can't join the space, so I don't know if they're talking or not.
Is it a space that's going on right now?
It's on Trump's Twitter. Trump is hosting it.
Oh, he's back on Twitter.
Yeah, he was tweeting all day today.
Fuck off.
I'm dead serious. Okay, let's see. No, space not available, it says. So I don't know.
Okay, well, it is what it is. So you know what, Joey? I think with that being said, because it's gonna make for shitty audio and shitty video, I think we should end it here.
Sure. Okay. Listen, enjoy the space, Donald and Elon. And come back tomorrow night. Listen, if you're an audio listener, I mean, you may or may not be, but I would come to YouTube tomorrow because Morbirths is a big chart guy. He told me that. I watched him on Livera, lots of charts, lots of data. I'm going to have some good questions for him that I've been thinking about for a long time and looking into, and I know he's going to have great answers. So please stop in. You will dig it. And until then, take care of yourselves.
And don't be a cock.